Welcome to Spiritual Talk with Christy Godwin and Friends, an authentic podcast where we sit and discuss all things spiritual. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to my podcast. I am Christy Godwin, and my podcast is Spiritual Talk with Christy Godwin and Friends. I am here with my colleague and husband, Ken Jackson. Thank you for being here, honey.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right. So for those of you who have ever watched me on my TikTok lives, we have gotten a ton of comments about my husband's voice and just how calming it is. And I have really not said a lot about it on TikTok, but he does have his own business. He is a hypnotherapist, and he has his own life coaching business. And so I'm having him on a podcast, and we're going to talk about some hypnotherapy. All right. So now, in your words, what is hypnotherapy?
Well, let's start with just hypnosis. So hypnosis is not sleep. A lot of misconceptions are out there about when I go into a hypnotic state, am I going to sleep? Well, actually, you're not going to sleep. It's simply an altered state of consciousness where very similar to like a meditation. And it helps not only you, but myself to be able to connect with your subconscious mind and introduce changes or alterations or improvements, if you will, to help you to, in my words, get out of your own way and go forward with life.
Absolutely. Well said. So now in our house, it's kind of funny in the mornings because I'm also do hypnotherapy. It's on my site. And so we will take turns. And as everyone knows, you can imagine, I do a ton of meditation, but it's much different when you have someone leading you through it. I was just doing one this afternoon. This lady popped on. I had done a reading with her before. She could not say a month. She was floored. Her hypnotherapy session was 35 minutes. And she's like, I thought I was under for 10 because she had had it done before, but had not been able to go into what we call trance or be led into that meditative state. And the difference is if you're having your friend do it, and it's different with your friend doing it if you're with someone who is trained. There's a method to the madness of doing it, and there's a method of kind of getting your, what I call your squirrel brain out of the way. Now, I also want to talk about some of the misconceptions of hypnotherapy.
Yes. So very common, well, if I may, before we get into some of the misconceptions, we as people collectively are in a hypnotic state almost on a daily basis. One of the examples that I really like to use is driving. For instance, if you remember when you started to drive, you had to think about the gas pedal, the brake pedal, the turn signals, the mirrors, the speed limit, and everything else that's going on around you. But now if you think about when you drive, whether you drive to the store, drive to work, drive to school, you simply get in the car, turn on the music, and bebop all the way. And that is a hypnotic state. You're not thinking about it. You're just doing. And so that is I think is a very good way for people to understand how hypnosis is part of your daily life.
Absolutely.
So now some folks like to think, have asked, okay, so is hypnosis or hypnotherapy dangerous for me? No, not at all. There's never been actually a documented case where anyone was harmed during hypnosis or therapeutic hypnosis. It truly is a meditative state where you relaxed. And as you said, you basically let that squirrel brain get out of the way. Mm-hmm. Get out of the way.
So Ken just got a little bit ahead of me. So I'll go forward in my notes and then come back to what I was going to talk about. Yes, what he said, I say this to people all the time. because, in my business, my main business is psychic mediumship. And people think that they have to sit in meditation and go, and that's the only way that you're going to pop into the meditative state. I always say that I get in a meditative state when I'm putting my makeup on, because I've done it every day for over 30 years. So it's like muscle memory. I will tell you that Ken will get into a meditative state when he's woodworking or when he's working in the yard. We do it when we're driving. And that is when you're just on automatic pilot and you're kind of getting that squirrel brain out of the way. So for anyone who says that they can't go into trance, they can't, be hypnotized, it is just really about, because what they have seen, what most of those people are talking about is the, stage hypnosis. And we are not about the stage hypnosis.
That's right. That's right. And this is all about your will. If you would like to be hypnotized, you would like to be in that meditative state, that trance-like state, I can help you get there. There's no question.
Absolutely.
Another thing to consider, a lot of folks would like to ask, can a person ever be hypnotized against their will? No, your free will is always in control. You are always in control, even when you're in a deep hypnotic state. If you determine to allow your conscious mind to come back in and take over, you will come out of your hypnotic state, and you'll be sitting in the room that you were when you started this session.
I do want to bring up that no one can make you do something. That's right. When you're in this hypnotic state. They can't make you do anything that's against your will. That is, I say that a lot for hypnotherapy and for psychic mediumship. TV has been great on some things, but when they're creating this Hollywood drama, of course they have to embellish how it really is just to entertain people. And so it has some misconceptions out there about things that are everyday life.
Another thing that people like to question, is it hard to come back out of hypnosis? No, it's super easy. You can wake up at any time you want to, anytime you decide to. And a good hypnotic session, you'll actually be in such a relaxed state that you would choose of your own free will to stay in that state as long as you can. It's very relaxing. And typically when folks come out, they feel very rested, very comfortable, and very calm and relaxed. And that's one of the goals.
The lady who I had the session with earlier today, and she was under for like 33, 35 minutes. That's about my first session, just because you want to get a good gauge for your client, the person who's with you. And so she came out, and she was the one who said that she had tried before and it hadn't worked, and she thought she was in for 10 minutes. And so she asked, well, if I schedule another one, can you just talk to me longer? Yes, I can. But the first one, we really like to gauge how you're going to handle it, just what your tolerance is, what you would like to see happen. And so my first one is about 35 minutes or so. Is that about what yours are, Ken?
About 30 to 45 minutes, yes. With a 10 to 15 minute introduction to exactly cover what you just talked about. With what are your goals? What do you hope to achieve? Where do you want to go?
And when you make the appointment, we both will send you paperwork that you will kind of also tell us some of that. So that, because whenever you come for hypnotherapy, it needs to be specific to you. So we will make it specific to what you want and what your needs are, not what other people think is right for you.
So I'm not sure if we covered exactly a good explanation for hypnosis. Just to be really clear, so in between the conscious and the subconscious mind, there's that critical mind where most of your thinking takes place, and most of those thoughts tend to focus on what your daily activities are, and those things will be. It may work to protect some of those known aspects, some of the memories, some of the learning that you've had throughout your life, and believe it or not, those things tend to get in your way, especially when you're trying to relax.
Yes.
You lay in bed, for example, and you're either thinking about everything that occurred during the day or everything that you're going to do tomorrow. And those things just tend to get in the way when you're trying to self-help and work towards changing behaviors, changing activities, changing interactions with people. All of those things are very specific um, aspects that can be helped through hypnosis.
Absolutely. Think of it as an iceberg. When you have an iceberg, you have,
That's right.
the 12% is above and the rest is below. And the 88% of the iceberg that is hidden is really our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is brilliant and it's put in place to keep us safe. And in my life coaching, I talk a lot about triggers and how that's where our triggers are put in place. And triggers are put in place to keep us safe. Our subconscious mind, I know a lot of people might disagree with what I'm about to say, is not here to keep us happy.
That's right.
It's here to keep us safe. And it does a brilliant job of that. But sometimes those safety mechanisms that have been placed in our subconscious or unconscious, according to what terminology you want to use, kind of get in our way sometimes. And you really want to be able to get to the root of the problem. And so now I'm going to bring up a little bit, I had it later, but I think this is a great place to talk about it, is that's where some of the trauma can be helped with with hypnotherapy, because trauma and triggers go hand in hand, and you really want to help with those. Also, what's great about hypnotherapy is that you can see some immediate results and you don't have to go through the months and months of talk therapy, which I will always encourage people to see a licensed therapist if they think they need it. Always, always.
Absolutely.
But hypnotherapy can sometimes help with immediate results. And, I'm going to pick on the men a little bit, but men don't typically like to talk about their problems. They just don't. I know that's shocking for everyone listening and watching these podcasts for me to say that. But hypnotherapy can really help with some content-free hypnosis where, I have taken people and they've really worked on some deep-seated issues, but I had no idea what they were. And it's called content-free. They don't have to tell me. They know, and they're working on it. And that is good enough.
And it's very beneficial. The individual, a lot of folks, they don't want to talk about those traumatic events because they are traumatic, and not having to explain the situation to especially to a hypnotherapist is very beneficial and useful. It's not significant for me to know specifically what the trauma was, the traumatic event. What's important is that the individual is ready to change. The individual is ready to do something with adjusting their life.
Right. And that is key. They have to want to change.
That's right.
And you can't make an appointment with Ken because your wife told you to.
That's right.
And expect the change to occur if you don't truly want it yourself. And it is the same with smoking. A lot of people I know associate hypnotherapy with, quitting smoking, which it can help, but you have to want it.
Yeah, that's right. And not only smoking, but it can help with weight loss. It can help with pain management, smoking cessation, like you said. All of those things are beneficial through hypnosis.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so when he talked about let's go back to the content-free and the trauma, you have to think about the hypnosis. So you have your conscious and your subconscious brain. Your subconscious, unconscious, again, according to your terminology, is on lockdown. It is set, it keeps you safe. That's what it's doing. Just think of hypnosis also as a door, like it opens a doorway and allows you to communicate to that locked down portion that's there to keep you safe. And it will still keep you safe, but it might do it in a little bit. It will allow you to get on stage, talk in front of those people, allow you to get on that plane to fly instead
That's right.
of getting
That's right. And one of the things that you mentioned earlier, and it goes hand in hand with the content free, is imagery, visualization.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I know you're very big on visualization, as well as, athletes, huge managers, employees. Everyone can benefit from visualization. If you can see the goal, allow your conscious mind to get out of the way and your subconscious mind to see that goal,
Mhm.
you can get there. You can get there.
Absolutely.
And imagery is part of that.
I was working with someone, and I'm not saying any names out here, and they had been kind of stuck in their career. They ton of experience. They've been in the same field forever, just really stuck, kind of feeling bogged down. And everyone listening to this or watching it, according if you're looking at it on YouTube or listening to it on the podcast, knows that feeling of being stuck and not being able to just kind of take that step forward. And so she had 3 sessions. And I'm not saying this would happen to everyone. I'm saying this happened to this one particular client. 3 sessions, and within 4 months, her job had completely changed to one where she loved. Before, she couldn't hardly stand it. That was part of her being stuck. His responsibilities didn't align with who she was. And so after 3 sessions, 4 months later, her completely different job responsibilities. And, this is something else I want to discuss is, after these sessions, you can't always put your finger on the change.
Yeah.
You just see yourself reacting in subtly different ways than you would before.
And along that same vein, anchors are another key aspect within hypnosis. When speaking directly with your subconscious mind, with your conscious mind out of the way, you can actually teach your subconscious to activate a certain feeling or emotion in reaction to a situation through these anchors. And anchors can be something simple. It can be something as simple as a color. It can be something as simple as touching fingers. Anchors are very powerful. Very powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They absolutely are. There is someone that I'm going to tell the story. My husband probably wouldn't mention it, but someone who is close to us and goes to school, he had gifted some hypnotherapy sessions to, and so funny, because he had anchored with them the okay sign for, I think it was just calm. Was it calmness?
Calmness.
Yeah. And so, this is much how hypnotherapy worked. So he talked to this person a few days later, and basically they were saying, I didn't realize I made that okay sign all the time.
That's right.
Well, you didn't make it all the time before it was anchored to give you calm. So at school, they were kicking in. And so, they were questioning, well, did you make it all the time, or did you just make it at school? Oh, I was at school. Yes, it's because you were constantly trying to kick in that anchor of calm.
And it's very important for a client and hypnotherapist to build that relationship and that trust and that confidence. The hypnotherapist is not here to do anything negative, not to anchor anything negative. It is all positive. It's all about self-improvement and goal achievement and success. That's really what we're here for.
And
really.
We talk about that before the appointment. For anyone watching, we will tell you exactly the flow of the appointment, exactly what you can expect, what's going to happen, some of the concepts we're going to go over, and tell you what we are anchoring into you. Is it confidence? Is it the ability to talk in front of people? Is it the ability to keep your anger in check? Yeah. So we talk through exactly the flow of the appointment, and the goals of the appointment come off the intake form and our talking to you beforehand.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of things that I know my husband works on a lot, because again, for those of you who have followed me for a while, that I've had a heart for just making this world a better place. And I've noticed that we don't always teach our men to function correctly in the world. Correctly might not be the right word, but to express their feelings correctly.
Yeah, acting correctly may not be the right choice of words.
That was the wrong choice. So I apologize to anyone listening to this. But expressing their feelings at all, actually. Because you have to think about, little boys as they're being raised, they're taught to tap it down, don't cry, buck it up. So, our boys are not taught to be able to express their feelings. So those boys grow into men who are not taught to express their feelings. If you tap down feelings enough, they will be expressed. So what is the appropriate way normally in our society for men to express their feelings? They're going to be controlling, and they're going to lash out in anger. It's because they're not given permission. So I think my husband has been working a lot with that lately. Ken has really done a beautiful job of being able to help gentlemen with not changing their personality at all, but maybe just thinking through things before they react in a explosive manner.
And then you bring up a very good point. It's not about changing your personality or who you are. It's
Nope.
how you react to situations. And if we didn't learn it as we grow up, just like you said, we need to learn it. We need to learn it at some point. And the easiest way to learn that is through your subconscious mind, and your subconscious will help you make the better choices.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And most recently, because I, of course, have a lot of I would say one of the most fun sessions I had, that was a lady, yes, getting the job, but then there was also a gentleman who was, he was a singer and just was experiencing some self-doubt. And I just received the most beautiful message from him the other day about how it was just so beautiful. He said, I can look in the mirror and actually love myself.
Yes.
And that can be said for everyone. How hard is it for people to look in the mirror and actually say, I love myself?
And that's really important, because who do you see every day? Every day. You see yourself. So don't be afraid to tell yourself that.
Right. And, you can't truly love other people in a healthy manner without loving yourself. And I think it's so important. I know that we both have a heart for just helping people be their best selves. And, this world, can you imagine? My dream is for everyone to be able to tap into their own magic, their own inner being, who they are, and express that. Instead of listening to that little voice in your head that's telling you, you can't do that. You can't be on the stage. Control that situation.
That's right. That's right.
Now, I want to also set people's minds at ease about having sessions via Zoom. Because I know a lot of people think it has to be done. I don't know. I was going to say, I don't think I've done any sessions in person. All of mine have been via Zoom.
Yeah, I've done both. And honestly, Zoom is no more difficult as long as you can create the environment where where you can relax. And it's very important that the client sets themselves up in a situation where they feel safe. If you don't feel safe, you're not going to relax. It's just natural. It's a natural reaction. So safe, comfortable, and minimize distractions.
You cannot have a successful session if you're out in the living room and you have kids running around and dogs barking and your spouse in the background talking to you.
That's right.
And it does work better, I will say. Well, I've had a couple. It's okay if you don't have headphones on, as long as your environment is, there's no outside noises. But if you're in a bedroom in your house or something, it is better if you have the headphones, if you have kids and family running around, just so all you can hear. I know this is a scary thought, people. All you can hear is our voices in your head.
That's right.
And some music playing in the background. We usually have some music playing in the background.
Sometimes there's music. That's right.
Sometimes I'll throw in some spa music to set the mood. So now also I want to bring up, people are kind of afraid. Technology, things happen. Absolutely, things happen. So what if you are, you have someone there and you've taken them down to this great trance state. They are just really there. And the Zoom link goes down because, things happen. Technology, be our best friend, but it can also be our worst enemy.
That's right. And you know, the worst thing that can happen during hypnosis is you fall asleep. And so
That's true.
you get a little nap, and then shortly after that nap, you wake up refreshed and wondering, wow, I wonder what happened. I wonder why they're not on the screen anymore. Yep. That's
Right.
the worst thing that can happen.
I did want to address that because it doesn't happen hardly ever, but we have to realize in our technology world, Wi-Fi links fail, electricity goes out. I remember one time I was teaching a class, we're all on Zoom. And of course, I live in kind of a wooded area for those of you listening, and a turkey flew into the transformer down the street from me. And I went from having all these students on my screen to nothing.
That's right. Things happen, and hypnosis is completely safe.
Absolutely, it is. You come out, like I said, you have a little nap, or you think, all of a sudden you realize I'm not hearing that voice anymore. What happened?
That's right. The voice stopped. I wonder why.
Yes, and I want to address real quick also that now I know Ken has done. I can't remember the name for that. If you can't visualize in your head, like if you cannot picture things in your head, there's a word for that. Do you remember what it is?
I'm sorry, it escapes me right now.
I'm sure everyone's heard of it. Now, he has had a client that had always not been able to visualize. They said that going in. And they were so surprised that during the hypnotherapy, they were able to visualize. I just thought it was pretty cool.
And it's one of my favorite visualization exercises. So don't be surprised if you hear it while I'm talking in your head, because it is one of my favorites.
Yes, we do have a couple of favorites. Each hypnotherapist is different, and they all have like their favorite things that they like to visualize. But we also talk to our clients and get to know them, because if I have visualization that includes a butterfly, and for whatever reason you're petrified of butterflies, then I won't be using that one.
You won't use that one. That's
We
right.
would use something else, something more fitting for you. Now, I also want to address that all of most sessions that we have done have been individual and specific to a person, but they can be done, and we both have done them on a bigger scale. Let's say that you have a sales business, and you think some of your salespeople are, anyone could use more confidence. Anyone could use more of an ability to accomplish their goals. Yes, we can absolutely come in and do a group session.
Absolutely. And group sessions are very beneficial. You talked earlier about content free. Content free is not specific just to traumatic events, traumatic experiences. It can be very useful for just building confidence, assurance, allowing you to speak more clearly in public places, enhancing your ability to cover detail, all of those things. I don't need to know exactly what everyone's areas that they would like to focus on. If the goal is a group of salespeople, I can help that group.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And think about, customer service is another big one. The ability to be able to speak with calmness and confidence and not let the negativity coming at you. And we actually do have what is called a script, where we talk through transmuting negativity into positivity.
Into positivity, that's right.
Mm-hmm. And so, those kinds of things are great for people who are on the phone all the time and having to listen to sometimes unhappy people on the other end.
Not as friendly as you would like them to be sometimes. That's right.
Right. And we just need to learn to not let their stuff stick to us and take it home with us. And then it just creates a whole snowball effect, because we go home unhappy and take it out on our family. So it can help on a business level. Also, it can help with upper level management, and it can help with athletes that are trying to reach that next level. I like to use the analogy of, think about the first person to run the 11-minute mile, and there always had to be that first person. And every time someone breaks a barrier, others follow. because the mind is now seeing the possibility that it can happen. And that's what you need. You need your mind to see the possibility good things can happen.
That's right. And one of the areas that I really focus on in my business is helping veterans. I'm also a veteran, and a lot of folks will think when you say veteran helping or assistance, coaching, mentoring, they think traumatic events. Not every veteran had a traumatic event where you might encounter in a wartime situation. Some of it is simply the mentality of the military and the rules and the structure and the and you smile, I get it. The processes, the rigidity. Sometimes that's not well received in life outside of the military, and we really work to focus on softening those skills, because they are skills and they are useful, very beneficial, but softening them, because maybe you've left the military and it's time to transition.
I don't want to address this very kindly and gently, but I see a lot of ladies in my business, and there have been so many divorces happen over exactly what Kevin was just discussing, and the inability to maybe conform a little bit to a more relaxed home life.
It's that transition phase, whether you're still in or you're transitioning out of the military into a different career path. That transition, even just leaving work and transitioning into your home life, can be very challenging sometimes. Very challenging.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say this, that sometimes the military, I know all business jobs in general can be, but I have noticed the military in general can be extremely frustrating, because there are tons of times, no matter what rank you are and no matter what you do, that you feel powerless. You see something that is completely jacked up, and you are completely powerless to change it. I see it so prevalently in the military. That creates a lot of frustration and anger. If you are in an environment where you are powerless to change something that you know in your heart is not right, anger and frustration. You can't really explode on people at work. It's frowned upon. So you come home to your safe environment, and because your home life is safe and you start decompressing, that's where it's going to come out at.
Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of the control issues happen at home. And I really believe that a large chunk of that is as a result of being not having that control to make those changes that you can see. And so you come home and you want to control everything.
Right. And it's very, and then, you have the family life who they just want to play and, have fun and just be relaxed and enjoy whoever the military member is coming home. Typically it's a man, but now our services are becoming heavily female dominated also. And they have the same issues. That is a veteran issue. That is not just a male issue. That is a veteran issue. And I have seen just hypnotherapy work wonders with that. So any other things you'd like to say about hypnotherapy?
No, I was very hesitant when I first started getting into hypnotherapy.
He really was, people. He really was.
Maybe a little, maybe a lot. Okay. Christy convinced me, let's just go try it. Let's go see what it's about. And I have seen the benefit in myself. When I started seeing the benefits in myself, I could truly see how much it can benefit others too. This is not a small thing. This really is beneficial in multiple facets of life. And it's not just veterans. It's not just business. It's not just athletes. This is regular people. Regular people have the same concerns, the same hopes of improving aspects of their life, and hypnotherapy can help. There's no question in my mind. It helped me, and it's helped others. It can help. It will continue to help.
So let's just talk about some of the ways real quick. I'm just going to do a list of ways that we have seen. I mean, between Ken and myself, all over the spectrum, people that, and I know that he's helped a couple of spouses that maybe more than a couple, but anyway, just be able to be confident, feel safe, and be confident. And these are males I'm talking about that were able to make a tremendous impact on their marriage. Also, I know people can imagine my husband was traveling with me, the psychic medium, and I was on business. So there was a whole group of psychic mediums that he was doing hypnotherapy on. And oh my goodness, they just were so pleased with the experiences they had when they were in trance.
And that is a group that creates pressure.
It is, I know. Can you imagine? Because what does a group of, especially his wife, who is, a hypnotherapist herself, he knows that we all go into meditation all the time.
All the time.
Yes. And so, yes, he was, and everyone was shocked of the difference it made having someone walk them through it than just doing it on their own.
That's right.
Success in school. You've helped some people with huge success in school. I know that you've helped some people just with being able to get in touch with their abilities better, whatever their personal abilities are. I'm not going to go through the whole list because it's vast. For as many people in this world as there are, that's how many different talents there are. This afternoon when I was doing the hypnotherapy, the lady was wanting to be more in touch with sitting in meditation and being able to tap into the other side. I help people with their success in businesses, their confidence, their singing, you name it. No, I wouldn't say you name it, but it's a vast list.
That's right. It can help in many, many aspects of life, and it's tremendously beneficial to everyone. It does get easier each time you are in a hypnosis session.
Yes,
Once you start to learn, and I believe you said it to me before, I remember you saying these words, and I remembered, oh, I know where we're going. And then you just relax. Mm-hmm. So each session becomes easier and easier and easier.
Yes, it's like muscle memory. Like anytime you do something over and over, it's like your brain is like, oh yeah, I know where we're going with this. Let's go. Yep. And also I want to touch real quick, and then we'll probably wrap it up. But if you like people that twist their hair, bite their nails, any kind of repetitive behavior you have, that is a self-soothing behavior. And you're not, it has to be, you have to get to the core of the issue to take care of that issue. Now, again, I do want to repeat, I can't say this enough, hypnotherapy cannot help unless you want to change.
That's right. And what you just described, what you actually just described were anchors. Those are self-created anchors. That calming effect where you twirl your hair, it's kind of hard for me to.
For those of you just listening to this on my podcast and can't see our pictures, he has no hair. He shaves his head.
But those are self-soothing anchors that you've created for yourself. And the anchors that we would go through in a session are no different, but they're beneficial.
Yes. They're positively created anchors with a positive behavior behind them, because you have to twist your hair, it's going to keep breaking off, biting your nails.
That's right.
All right. I want to thank everyone for being here. Now, again, we have Ken Jackson. His business and website is kenjacksonexecutivecoaching.com. I will put the verbiage in wherever you're watching this, I will have the verbiage that you can have his contact information. You can, if you're watching this on the podcast, you can also go to his YouTube channel and watch this. So he would look forward to hearing from you, as would I. And I want to thank you, Ken, for being here.
Thank you very much for having me, really. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening, watching, wherever you're seeing this, and I hope everyone has a blessed day.